Maybe I'm going to start a new series with this that will be called Shut the Fuck Up to whichever white out of touch man needs to shut the fuck up. And today, the man who needs to shut the fuck up is Bill Maher. I don't understand why anybody is still platforming this guy. He complains about elitists and being out of touch. He's a New York City born and raised a Cornell graduate with a daddy news anchor, and he's a nepo baby. He cosplays as a comedian, but he's not any good at it. He's not funny. He's not original. He's not inventive. He's not intellectual. He's not insightful. Maher has spent the last 5 years pushing literal Republican propaganda. He praised Ron DeSantis repeatedly on different issues, including his fight with Disney. But that's not even the worst of it. Despite all the data saying otherwise and the many controversies around it, Maher had the audacity to praise DeSantis' complete rejection of medical science and public health policy during the pandemic. He thinks that being on the board of PETA is going to make us look over the fact that he's apparently in support of RFK Jr. heading up HHS, even though the guy eats roadkill and pets. Even people on the left hate PETA. PETA hasn't been in vogue since like the 1990s. And you know who else uncharacteristically supports animal rights? Matt fucking Gaetz. Maybe Maher went to too many Gaetz parties, took too many drugs, and he broke his brain. Or maybe it's just because, like Matt Gaetz, he's a pervert too. Bill Maher has bragged about how young the girls that he dates are and doesn't seem to give a shit that society generally looks down on an old man who's almost 70 years old dating teenagers. Or he thinks that because he smokes pot and wants to legalize weed that we won't judge him for being overtly racist and sexist. The same kind of bullshit that he's been spewing for almost 50 years now. And a guy that hasn't had a real job in half a century telling progressives who is out of sync with most of America, no, shut the fuck up, Bill. You have no idea what it's like to be out here in the real world. You have no idea what it's like to go $100,000 or $200,000 in debt for an education that helps save people, save the world. That's what it takes for people who didn't grow up privileged to become doctors, to become scientists, to get their PhDs. You don't know what it's like to struggle. You don't know what it's like to not be able to pay your rent and your electricity bill in 1 month. And most Americans care far more about being able to afford their car bill or their car insurance bill than they do about Disney or fucking Taylor Swift, which you seem to not be able to shut up about. The problem isn't that Democrats are too far left. This was the furthest right campaign that the Democrats have run in my lifetime, and I'm not that young. They focused on cracking down at the border and on immigration, being pro-Second Amendment, yada, yada. We don't want that. The truth is that men like Bill Maher, who are old, out of touch, privileged white men, don't give a shit about any of us and really should just shut the fuck up. Having the rare take isn't a justification for The Hill or Newsweek or anybody else to write a story every single time this guy takes a shit. A man who's never accomplished anything of merit in his entire life. He's got a star on the Walk of Hollywood, but what has he done for society? What change has he created within society? How has he advanced science, medicine, or anything that has a meaningful, lasting change? Nothing. He went right, like everybody else, because he saw more money in it. Same thing started to happen with the Young Turks. Same thing started to happen with CNN. They saw a pot of money they could exploit and just went over there. And like everyone else, or every other white man at least right now, he's willing to blame everything but the actual reasons why Democrats did not show up. Harris lost in large part because she abandoned our most popular policies. We're talking Medicare for all, student loan forgiveness, universal pre-K, human rights, things Maher doesn't need and will never need and doesn't understand the need for. She avoided mentioning anything about trans people or trans right like it was the fucking plague, which Biden also botched, by the way. She supported a genocide in Gaza. Even though the whole world is now standing against us in Israel, she supported it. Blind faith. All the bullshit about Harris abandoning the middle class, by the way, is completely bullshit. It's not true. Harris centered her campaign on the middle class and the working class, supporting unions, tax breaks for working families, $50,000 credit for first-time homeowners, which right now that price of housing is absolutely obscene. Nobody can afford a house. That would have made a big difference, especially to families like mine. This country is just too sexist to elect a female supreme leader. And that leader was too Republican to get the votes from those who aren't. Supporting the genocide is the only issue that exit polls say had a statistically significant impact on would-be voters. But Maher is a late life rabid Zionist, so he will never concede that good people will not vote to slaughter children. The Democratic Party will not concede that good people will not vote for genocide, that they see through the propaganda, they see through the bullshit, and will not support it. And you could be all, well, you know, I hope when they blow up, blah, blah, blah. That makes you a real son of a bitch. That makes you a real asshole that you would even say that. You're going to be glad that people are being blown up over there either way. So why don't you stop pretending like you give a shit about it or that you ever did and just come clean and say, you know what, I don't care that we've killed almost probably 200,000 people over there and that they'll probably kill 200,000 more in the next 6 months. That's fine with me as long as I have my privilege and I'm totally fine. That's what they think. That's who they are. And those are the people we need to purge from our party. And nobody should be listening to anything that fucking Bill Maher says. He's almost 70 goddamn years old and dating teenagers. Nothing this person says should have any merit whatsoever. How about we start listening to scientists, doctors, people who are important, and people who will not support a roadkill-eating, anti-vaccine, brain-wormed idiot to head HHS in the United States. Sound good? Good.